Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. Update: my older sister's boyfriend confessed his feelings to me. Original post: I, 17 female, have an older sister, 21 female, who I'll call Beth. Beth has a boyfriend, 21 male, who I'll call Jim. Just like I said in the title, Jim has confessed that he has feelings for me, and he said that he's had them for a long time. Just to clarify, Jim and Beth have been together for almost a year, and I've known Jim because my sister had a huge crush on him when they were in high school. So I was really happy for her when she told me they were dating, and since my sister still lives at home with our parents, Jim has been over a lot of times for dinner or just to hang out with my sister. During our first meeting when Beth brought him home to meet the family, I didn't try to be overly friendly with him, but I was nice to him. My sister told me later that he thought that I was a bit too cold to him and asked me to be nice to him, so every other time I saw him, I was nice. I greeted him, talked with him about several topics which we had in common like anime, which we were both very huge fans of, and I thought he was really cool. But that was it. I had no interest in him romantically and just saw him as my sister's boyfriend. But just yesterday during a Halloween party our family was having with our friends and family, Jim obviously came as my sister's date. I was having a lot of fun, and I remember Jim coming up to me and asked if I could help him get drinks from the fridge that our family kept in the garage, and I agreed. On the way there, we were talking about our costumes and how they matched as they were from the same anime. Before we returned to the house, he grabbed my hand and told me he had something to say. He then confessed to me that he had a crush on me, and that he was first hoping that his feelings for me would go with time, but he felt like every day he came to our house his feelings would grow. He also said that he can't stop thinking about me. I felt uncomfortable as he spoke, and asked what about my sister and their relationship. And he said that he loves my sister but loved me more than her, and said that he was sorry for having feelings for me when I am still a minor and he is an adult, and that he just felt like he had to let me know. I was quiet, and so was he as he looked at me awaiting my answer. I told him that I don't have feelings for him, and I think that him confessing to me will ruin the friendly relationship between us. And I told him that I'd tell my sister because I didn't want her to misunderstand. He begged me not to tell my sister because he still wanted to date her, and I told him that he can't date someone if he doesn't have feelings for them, and ran back to my house to try and find my sister. I found her and she immediately asked where Jim was. I pulled her aside while telling her that there was something she had to know, and we went to the bathroom, which was fairly quiet, and I told her about what Jim had told me. She looked at me silently for a few seconds before going outside the bathroom. I followed her and saw her take Jim away by the hand as they went to her room upstairs. I couldn't focus on the party anymore and kept looking up to see if Jim would leave the house. But he didn't leave. Even after the party was beginning to end, they were still up there. I thought maybe it had gone bad and that Jim had probably hurt my sister, so I told my mom what happened and we both went to check on her. We found them cuddling on her bed and immediately she saw me. She told me to get out of her room. I was confused and asked what I had done. She told me that she's always known that I was jealous of her relationship with Jim, and that she couldn't believe I'd go as far as lying to about Jim confessing to me. Said that Jim was an adult and I was a child, and whatever obsession I had with Jim should end. Then she told my mom a whole other story that Jim had apparently told her. Apparently, Jim told my sister that we were talking about anime in the garage while getting more drinks, and I began to confess about how I liked him from the moment I saw him and that he tried to reject me nicely, but I ran off to Beth and told her a completely different story just to make Jim look bad. I tried to defend myself, but for some reason my mother sided with Beth and dragged me out of Beth's room. My mother then told my dad what Beth had told her. My father was confused at first, but at least he listened to my side of the story. But my mom didn't believe me. She even called my aunts who were there and began telling them, and they were all telling me how wrong I was for trying to break my sister's relationship apart. Beth also came down with Jim and escorted Jim out before coming back to tell me that I have always tried to get everything from her and that she knew one day I'd try to steal her boyfriends, and my mom and aunt shamed me for it. Only my dad believed me. I have been upset about it, and both my mom and sister are ignoring me. I also cried a lot to my dad, telling him the story over and over, hoping that he doesn't get lied to by my sister. I sent a text to Jim telling him that he was a horrible person and told him how I couldn't believe he lied to my family. And he sent a screenshot to my sister. And just a few minutes ago she's yelled at me for still trying to ruin her relationship, and for being obsessed and jealous of her, and I was crying. I just want to know what I should do to prove my innocence. It feels so horrible to be accused of such a thing. I'm not talking to anyone in my house and I've been locked in my room. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. I'm so sorry this happened to you, OP. If your sister doesn't want to listen to you and chooses to listen to someone like Jim, then there's nothing you can do about it. She won't listen to you even if you tell her about it many times, and that's because she's in love with this guy. One day she'll find out, and also your mom is horrible to not even listen to you, and you told her about it first. I don't know if it's favoritism or what, but thankfully your dad took your side. I wish you all the best. My mom has always acted that way, but this time it's really upsetting me because I was trying to help my sister. And yes, she believed me at first, but immediately my sister said something and she switched up. He sounds like a predator, and your sister is in denial. No adult would tell an underage teen they have feelings for them and keep it a secret. Show your dad this thread. It will help him to see point of views from outside of the family. Mom and sister are too fragile to handle the truth and are doubling down in their denial. Live your best life and don't give them the time of day anymore. They do not support you. I'm glad your dad does. He knows the truth. I also feel like my mom favors my sister over me because it's not the first time she's done this. And now for the update. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for all the kind words and the advice that I got. I am grateful to everyone who heard my side of the story. So some stuff has happened and most of you wanted an update. Someone told me to send my dad the link to my post and I did. I think he showed it to my mom or sent her same link because she came to my room and said she wanted to talk to me. I refused because I had tried talking to her many times to prove myself, but she ignored me or refused to hear me out. She then told my dad to try and make us talk, but I refused again and told my dad that I wanted to go to my grandparents' house and stay there because I was uncomfortable at home. I also specifically said in front of my mom that I wanted to go to a place where no one thought I was trying to steal another person's boyfriend. My mom tried to defend herself, saying that it was a misunderstanding and that she was ready to listen to me, but I didn't want to talk to her. I think she might have read the comments from my first post calling her a bad mother and was trying to convince herself that she was a good parent in that situation when she wasn't. My dad took me to my grandparents' house on Tuesday, and they immediately believed my side of the story when I told them what happened. And while my dad was still in their house, my grandfather told him to ban Jim from coming to our house. My grandmother wanted to confront my mom, but I knew my mom would feel bad about it and probably cry, and even if many people here told me to let my mom get called out by my grandparents, I didn't want that. It would cause more drama with her side of the family and it would become something big, and maybe they would all end up taking my mom's side, which was Jim's side, and I didn't want that. Also, my dad discouraged it for the same reason. So I stayed with my grandparents for almost a week and it was nice. My dad would call me regularly to check on me. My mom tried to call me and she sent me a lot of texts asking me to come home, but I didn't want to. I had blocked my sister on everything, so I don't know if she tried reaching out, but I highly doubt she did. My dad called and told me that my mom has been crying a lot and begging him to get me to come back, and my grandmother also told me to go back for her sake, so I had to. My grandparents took me back home after school, and my mom started to act all nice and sweet to me and was trying to do everything for me and asking for a girls' day out with just me and her, but I refused. Before, I wouldn't question this because she's usually nice to me, but after what happened and her siding with my sister, plus accusing me for trying to ruin my sister's relationship, I wasn't ready to be friendly with her. I also couldn't see her the same after embarrassing and shaming me with her sisters. I think it was around 6 or 7 p.m. and I was in my room, and Beth came knocking on my door and asked if they can come in. I went to check who else was there and I saw it was Jim. I refused and tried to close my door, but they blocked it. My sister kept saying that they were trying to fix things, but I didn't want to listen and kept pushing my door to close it, but they were also pushing to open it and actually ended up opening it. I told them to leave my room, and I was shouting for my dad to come up to my room, but my sister closed the door with her and Jim inside, and leaned against it while telling me to calm down and hear them out. I refused and kept telling them to leave and tried to push my sister out to leave, but Jim tried to pull me back, and I shouted at him not to touch me. My sister started crying and told me to stop acting this way and to just hear them out. My dad also came and was knocking for the door to be opened, and I said I would only listen to her if she lets my dad stay with me in the room. But she said that they both wanted to talk to only me and opened the door to tell my dad and my mom, who was also there, about it. Of course, my mom made my dad leave me with these people just because Beth was crying, and she never cries unless it's serious, which is kind of BS. So I called my dad and remained on the line with him and told him to listen just in case they tried to do something, and my sister was fine with it. I also told them to stay next to the door away from me, and then my sister started saying that Jim was really worried when I wasn't at home, and she also became worried because this wasn't me. And then Jim said that he felt guilty for being the cause of our family having issues, and then said that he decided to forgive me for trying to break him and my sister up, and that he hoped everything could go back to the way they were before the party. My sister then started apologizing for saying mean stuff to me and said that no matter what, she will always love me and that she wanted us to be close again. She also said that it was fine for me to like Jim, but I shouldn't try to break them up because they were very happy together and that I would understand if I found someone that I loved like she loved Jim. Isn't that ridiculous? I even find it a bit funny. I asked my dad if he heard what they said, and he scoffed. But my sister started saying that she understood that I was upset now, which is why they got me something, but it was in her room. Jim then said that it was very expensive, but he got it for me because he knew I really wanted it and said how excited he had been to give it to me. My sister then asked if she could give me a hug for making up, and then she said that we should go together with my mom for a girls' day out to make up, and I told her and her boyfriend to get out of my room. Jim then said that they were just trying to make up with me, and that they both missed hanging out with me, and I told him to shut up and never talk to me again. I then told my sister that as long as she thought I liked Jim, and as long as she believed Jim's side of the story over mine, I didn't want her to talk to me, and I didn't want her in my room too, and that they should leave. Beth got mad and shouted at me saying that I was being mean, and that despite the fact that I was trying to break them apart, she still wanted to be the bigger person and make up with me. My mom then came to the room. I think she was listening with my dad or standing outside my door, and said that we should all get along, and the fight should end because we were all acting childish because of it. Jim was acting all innocent the whole time, nodding and agreeing with everything. I still don't understand why they're trying to make everything seem like it was before, after publicly humiliating me in front of the family for telling them the truth about Jim. I told my dad to come and help me out of this situation, and he came and told them not to force me to talk to them when I didn't want to, and my sister insisted that we should make up as a family. And Jim nodded again in agreement and started telling me to listen to my mom and forget about it, because they already did. And I swear I wanted to knock him out so bad. I told them to get out of my room or I'd go back to my grandparents' house, and this time I wouldn't return. And my mom now started crying and said I was going too far, but they left. My dad stayed and I told him that I wanted to go back to my grandparents' house and stay there until I finished school since I'm a senior, but my dad refused and said he didn't want us to be separated again, and that he'll find a solution for it. I've been wondering what I should do. Jim is still here and he had been knocking on my door, which was locked, after dinner, and telling me to take his gift, which by the way is a figurine of an anime character called Gojo from an anime called Jujutsu Kaisen, the one we both liked, and he said that it costed more than $300, and since he spent all that money, I should take it. My dad told me not to take it, but I wasn't planning on doing it either. My dad has also told him to stop trying to talk to me and to stop coming in my space because he's making me uncomfortable, but it made both my sister and dad to argue. My sister said it's not necessary to stop Jim from coming close to me because Jim has zero interest in children like me, and dropped her nice act after that. You guys told me to tell my dad to ban him from coming to our house, and he did. But my mom and sister were against it, and my parents even argued over it. But it doesn't really surprise me that Jim is still around even right now as I am making this post. I think he might believe that what he did wasn't wrong if my sister didn't believe me. Plus, Beth said she'd move out if Jim was banned from coming to our house, and my mom cried about it and begged her not to while arguing more with my dad, and so that's not happening soon, unfortunately. I don't want to be alone with him to record our conversation, because I don't know what he can do to me when we are alone. So I'm sorry, but I won't do that. So far when he's talking to me, it's mostly him talking about his gift and how he really wants me to take it, and I don't feel comfortable taking anything from him. My sister also can't force me to take it because it was expensive, but I don't care. Also during dinner, my sister said that she was uncomfortable now that I'm around, and was saying that I ruined the peaceful atmosphere that was there in the house before I came back. She even said that because of me making accusations towards Jim, I ruined the happiness our family had, and also almost ruined her relationship. My dad yelled at her to stop saying stuff like that to me, and my sister yelled that only my mom loved her, and that my dad and I were nothing to her, blah blah blah. Honestly, I don't know what her problem is, but I feel like it's kind of my fault that everything happened. There's been a lot of arguments between my family members and it's making me feel bad. Maybe I shouldn't have told my sister about Jim's confession. But I really did it with no bad intentions and because I didn't want to hurt my sister, but she didn't even believe me and neither did my mom. She said she believes my side of the story, but then goes ahead and still sides with my sister. That's mostly why I don't want to talk to her. It's honestly upsetting and I really want to leave again. I also wanted to clarify that I am not a bad person or trouble kid. Many people commented saying that maybe there must be a reason why my mom didn't believe me and took my sister's side, or something similar probably happened that made my mom not believe me. But nothing ever happened like this, and believe it or not, my mother has always been this way. She's always taken my sister's word for everything ever since I was a child. It's hard to understand, but I'm sure there are many people with mothers like mine. I wish my update post would have been of Jim getting what he deserved, but I've just gotten back home, and I think it's too early for that to happen. Also, with the way my sister is acting, I don't think I'll be clearing my name anytime soon. So I hope she finds him cheating on her and knows that I warned her about him. Thank you once again for all the kind words. I'm sorry that I was not able to respond to many comments or DMs, but I'm grateful for every comment. Sorry about my long post. Also, I made this post at the morning hours and have been having trouble posting it. Thank you to the kind person that helped me. I already commented on your original post, but I thought I should add that the gift Jim is trying to give you is a bribe to play along and keep your mouth shut. So kudos to you for not taking it. And your sister will only find out what kind of person her boyfriend is until she catches him cheating. Then you can gladly tell her you told her so. Until then, just bide your time, ignore your sister, and get a lock for your bedroom door if you don't have one already. Thank you, and I do have a lock for my room. She needs to be out of that house immediately. She's now a child being harassed relentlessly by an adult man in her own bedroom. Honestly, I'd call the cops to file a report now, if that's what it takes to force her parents to let her leave back to her grandparents. My dad would have absolutely beat the brakes off this guy. As a parent now, I would too. Her mom is a nutcase. How can the parents not see that Jim trying to give her an expensive gift is him trying to buy her silence or cooperation? If OP actually had come onto him and tried to break them up, the way to resolve that sure as heck wouldn't be buying her an expensive gift. It would be to distance himself from her. The only reason the expensive gift makes any sense is if OP's version of the story is the true one. You mean you don't buy gifts for people who like you but you don't like back? Do you think that kind of mixed messaging would cause further problems? You're so right. But sis is too self-absorbed to see it, and mom doesn't want to lose face so just wants to brush it under the carpet. What a disgusting creep. The sister will find out one day and probably still blame OP. Bothers me because in no world does a boyfriend spending $300 for a gift for someone who tried to ruin his relationship make sense. Like, Jim is very clearly not moving on and is trying to win OP back or some weird nonsense, and her sister is just oblivious and buying it.